Welcome to the Aphotic Parables. This is Eli here. Welcome back to another episode of the Aphotic Parables. Today, I'm going to be reading a multiple-part story. This is chapter 1. It's called The Dryad of the Woods. Chapter 1, Underneath. I don't know if most of you know of an app called Creepypasta XYZ, but there's a fairly large community on there that posts stories pretty regularly, and this is one of the top ones. It's by Vengel W. The Dryad of the Woods, Chapter 1, Underneath. Felton slammed on his brakes, releasing a choir of screeching tires. His SUV stopped abruptly, narrowly missing the car ahead. "Jesus, Dad!" Ruth yelled. "Come on!" Felton gripped the steering wheel in an iron grip, feeling his heart pound a mile a minute. After a few seconds, he managed to release a sigh of relief. "You okay?" "Barely. What gives?" "Calm down, young lady." She scoffed. "Why isn't anyone moving?" He squinted ahead, attempting to see through the frost-covered windshield. Not sure. Thank God for the four-wheel drive, huh?" Ruth groaned, rocking back and forth in her seat. "Can we go already? I seriously have to pee." "No one's moving all right. I hope it ain't too serious. I think I ought to check it out just to make sure, though." "What? Did you even hear me, Dad?" "It'd only be a minute, Ruthie. You see now, I told you to go easy on the pumpkin lattes." She groaned louder, leaning into the dashboard, causing her auburn hair to cascade around her head in a twisted bunch. "You can handle a minute. We're at least 20 out anyway. Besides, if it becomes too much, you do have the tree line," he joked. She quickly shot him a salty glare as he exited with a smile. Outside, he was met with the cool wind of the snowy mountains. It sparked a ripple of swaying trees that extended for miles into the horizon. Felton shivered, propping up his collar. Ahead, he could hear an angry voice shouting. The vehicle, a fancy Lincoln SUV, had its shattered headlight accented with a smashed front bumper. A foot ahead of it was a red Chevy truck inscribed with a mirror dent in its rear. A man stood by the driver window, pounding on it. "Hey, what's your problem?" he yelled, smacking the glass again. He was clearly not from the area and no doubt a city fellow. It was like he was peeled right out of a white-collar movie. Combed back, slick hair, dark shades, an overcoat atop of a nice suit. "Open the door," he went on. "Everything okay?" Felton spoke up as he approached. "Seriously, man?" he shot back, gesturing to his car. Poor choice of words, Felton thought. "How about we calm down so we can figure out what happened?" The man continued to smack the glass. "I'll tell you what happened. He just ruined a $90,000 car, and she's gonna pay for it. Every cent. And more, I'm gonna sue you into the ground if you don't open up." Felton set his jaw. Nothing fueled him more than the disrespect to a lady. In most cases, the easiest way to set a jerk in his place was a quick crack to the jaw. But he thought otherwise. There was no need to add fuel to the fire. Instead, Felton slid in between the suit and the truck. "All right, back off. She'll do what she needs to do, but you're not helping anything. Give us some space now." The man noted his size difference to Felton, who owned a foot over him and was clearly gifted with more body mass. After a minute of glaring, he reeled out of his phone and sauntered away. Felton turned back to the driver in the truck. It was a woman, middle-aged, with blonde hair. She was tightly gripping the wheel, facing ahead like a statue. Her eyes were glossy and her face was paralyzed with grief. "Ma'am?" Felton tapped on the glass. "Can you roll down the window?" She remained fixed, though, so Felton tapped a little harder, which seemed to awaken her. The woman turned his way slightly, eyeing him with a blank stare, and slowly complied. "You all right, ma'am?" She remained silent, opting to simply shake her head. "Well, are you hurt?" Again, she shook her head. "Okay, good. What's your name, then?"
Carol,
she finally stammered. "Nice to meet you. I'm Felton. Now, I'm just trying to find out what happened, is all. Why'd you slam your brakes? You lose traction on there?"
No.
"Okay. How about the engine? It's stalling you?"
No.
My truck's fine," she snapped. "I know how to handle it." All right, just checking," Felton replied with his hands up. "If everything's so dandy, then what happened? You see something on the road or what?"
Instantly, Carol's eyes flashed, and she slowly nodded.
"What'd you see? A deer?"
No, I saw... Tears started welling up in her eyes again. "I saw a kid. Oh God, I think I hit a kid." She swallowed. "I couldn't stop in time. I swear to God I tried." Felton grimaced. "You're probably mistaken. It just jumped out of nowhere. They did." The woman interrupted with a quivered lip. A tear rolled down her cheek. I don't want to check. I can't. Please, don't make me." She was clearly shaken by the ordeal. There was no way a kid could be out in these parts, but Felton nodded solemnly. He figured he'd indulge her to keep everything calm.
"It's fine. Just stay put, Carol. I'll check for you."
Felton swallowed and slowly crouched down. His heart got to pounding again, though. "Why are my nerves shaking to this?" he thought. "Nothing's going to be down there." As he peered underneath, the frigid wind rushed against his face, forcing his eyes to water. He glanced ahead, bracing for a horrid sight around the first two tires. He saw nothing. No blood or any evidence pointing to a supposed body. He chuckled to himself in relief. However, when he scanned further back, he noticed a dark bulge near the rear tire. Felton recoiled, feeling a knot grow in his stomach. He squinted at it, but it was so hard to make it out from this angle. The knot tightened when he realized he needed to get a closer look. In no hurry, he edged his way around the rear passenger. As he approached the bulge, the wind made another pass, swaying what appeared to be clothing. "Dear Lord," he whispered. "You see anything?" Carol stammered. Felton ignored her, though, crouching down to it. It couldn't be a kid. It was impossible. It had to be something else. A small animal at worst. Time felt stagnant as he got lower. All the while, his mind attempted to deconstruct the body into something else, but he couldn't shake the original thought. A crushed kid? He slowly extended his hand towards it, feeling every cell in his body object the action until he touched it. Immediately he flinched, but was then filled with instant reprieve. It's not a kid, he relayed up, or an animal. He heard Carol exhale. It sounded as if she'd been holding since the beginning. Felton reeled the object from underneath the car and put it into sight, staring at it with a puzzled look. He carefully brought it over to the driver's side. Carol noticed it and gave off some confused expression. "What is that?" she asked. He shook his head, unable to answer. It was a strange bale of wings held loosely together by twine in several areas. Despite being a disheveled heap, it appeared as if it had once formed a shape, but it was hard to tell what now. Admittedly, Felton was more disturbed than confused. His thing didn't like something one would find up in the wilderness, not naturally at least. He quickly tossed it off the road. The suit from earlier returned. I can't get a signal to the cops, he stated, pocketing his cell phone. Now, did I see correctly that this chick ruined my car because she ran over a tree? A bushel of wings and twigs, to be exact, Felton corrected him. And you're not gonna get anything out here. Passed through here enough times to know. The man scoffed. Great. What are we supposed to do then? Alex Cartfield is a very important man, and he has places he needs to be. Who is Alex Cartfield? Felton asked, setting his jaw again. Alex Cartfield is me, he stated, jabbing a thumb into his chest. You always refer to yourself in third person? He scoffed again. Look, just tell me how we can get a signal out here. Felton bit his lip, but answered grudgingly. There's a rest stop 10 miles out. They got a landline you can use to call the sheriff. You have to go inland a bit, but shouldn't be too hard to reach. I can probably find it, Carol chimed in. I don't mind leading if I have to. The suit shot a glare her way. No, I ain't trusting you to lead Jack. You can't even tell the difference between a kid and a tree. She sank into her seat. Hey now, ease up, Felton spoke up. How about I lead then? I know the layout and I'm heading to that spot anyways. Shouldn't take me no more than 30 minutes if we ride slow. The man contemplated the thought and then nodded. Smooth peaches then. Hang tight and let me grab my car. The man left for his SUV. Felton was about to follow when Carol held out a hand to him. Hey, they got a coffee cup in this place? I'm a wreck without it. Sure do. Sam's the keeper. He knows a thing or two about a good pot. Best brew for miles. She smiled. Cool, and thanks for stepping in when you did. Not sure what I was gonna do. Felton nodded in acknowledgement. Immediately, the chilly wind summoned another shiver from him, prompting him to push forward, catching a glare from the suit as he passed. As he approached his own SUV, something caught his eye in the distant tree line. He squinted through the white mist and was surprised to see what looked like a figure. A short, child-sized one. It stood unmoving near the edge of the trees, seemingly staring back at him. "Hey, do you see?" he said, turning back, but it was obvious that neither would be able to hear him. He returned to the tree line, and immediately his heart dropped. The figure had moved closer. The second he had looked away, it had managed to jump from its previous location, but it wasn't just a few feet. It had to have been at least a mile or so. That was impossible, though. The hairs on his neck pricked up. Felton soon began to hear faint whispers, as if someone spoke just out of earshot. Was someone calling out to him? Again, he checked behind, but didn't seem to be from the others. No, he thought. It's just the wind playing tricks. As his eyes fell back on the figure, he noticed it had jumped even closer. At this point, Felton was ready to bolt for his car, but his body felt paralyzed, paranoia washing over him like a wave. He started to feel what he could only describe as an emptiness in his stomach, like a cold hollowness expanding within him, like the knot in a tree. The voices grew louder with this, seemingly repeating a word, but he couldn't decipher it. Where were they coming from? What was happening to him? Suddenly, a loud car horn startled him. "Come on, Dad," Ruth shouted from the window. "I need to pee." Felton blinked for a second, feeling as if he had been awoken from a dream. The cold air finally settled back in, and he could feel the sting of its kiss lingering across his face, as if he'd been bearing it for an hour. He glanced back at the tree line, but the figure, whatever it was gone. Was it ever there? That emptiness. What was that? It felt like he had no time to dwell on it as Ruth leaned on the horn again. He gave one final scan of the trees and shook the thought away, returning to his SUV. Eli here. Thanks again for listening. This is a multiple part series. I think there's 6 chapters, but that was the first one. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment and all that stuff. And special thank you to Keaton Lloyd, a guy helping me with the music and whatnot. Once again, thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it. And look out for more videos. Once again, this is the Aphotic Parables.